quiet. Alright. Let's see, I should be on here. Sorry, Mark. Where's my stream? There we go. Alright. Now can we hear me? That's the question. It's kind of quiet. We're live. Alright. Who we got with us? Briefly hosting Mark Miller's Code Rushed. He's probably got a much bigger audience than I do, but today we are live from my basement office in day 13 or so of quarantine, for me at least, and we're growing a beard here for coronavirus, just to see how long this has to go on, or until my wife tells me I have to shave. Today we are going to take a look at something a little different than my usual business-oriented software, and we're going to talk about writing some bot code for a game, which I've been working on for a little while with some of my friends at devbetter.com. So let me show you where I'm at so far. We'll talk about the rules a little bit. Since I haven't streamed from here before, I do want to get a quick check from people if you're actually listening. Can you hear me? Can you see the screen? Is everything working alright? It looked alright to me, but use that chat window, tell me. Are we good? Anybody? I'll try and adjust settings if I need to. Alright, maybe you can't hear me, or maybe you're... Let's crank that all the way up, maybe that'll help. Or you're just busy doing other things. I don't remember if I sent that tweet. Let me see. I wanted to tweet that I was gonna start. Yeah, let's do that. What's this thing called? Ocean of Code. Alright, that may help bring some people here, maybe. Go. Okay. Alright, so if you were to go to CodinGame.com and check out this challenge, Ocean of Code, I will copy it into the chat. Right there. You would see the rules and things like that. And there are a number of different leagues. Alright, so the first league that you come into is the Wood 2 League. You see I'm in the Wood 1 League. So there's 2 leagues there. And then I guess it goes up to bronze, silver, etc. I think silver's not even open yet, so I think bronze is one could get to. The idea with the leagues is that you have increasing amounts of complexity that you need to deal with and difficulty in programming your bot. So essentially when you first start out, it's a much simpler game. But then as you gain additional skill and your bot gets better, then you advance up to a league and you also unlock additional rules in the game. So let's think about this game for a moment. Basically, it is 2 different submarines, and they're in a fight to sink one another. And so it's based on the board game Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar is a fun game. I've seen it played at CodeMash. I've played it like once. I don't own it myself. It's most fun with like 10 players, so that each side has like 5 players. And the game is played sort of head to head. but with screens placed so that you can't see what the opponent is doing. And so the way that works is um, you're going to give commands verbally to your team. So somebody is like the captain, and the captain doesn't have a station where they're working at, but there's like a navigator and a weapons officer and things like that, an engineer. And so the captain is giving these commands like, go north one, or things like that. And so then the other team can hear these commands, and that's an important part of this game, is that you know what your opponent is doing. And so the idea here is that you are listening in to their radio frequency. And so you can hear anytime they give a command and they say that they want to go north or south or east or west. But you don't know where they started. So you don't know exactly where they are, but you can hear all the orders. And they can hear all of your orders as well. And so this gives you an opportunity to try and figure out where your opponent is. And so let me just play a game here with my existing code, and I'll probably lose. So Captain Iglo here, or CTP Iglo, which I think is a typo for Captain, is the current bot that you have to beat to advance from the whatever league you're in. So in my case, for the Wood 1 league, he's the top of the list. And I am currently, wow, I didn't realize, I'm currently rank 2 in here. So apparently I'm pretty close to beating him as it stands. So let's play my code against Captain Iglo. And so this will load my application here, the C# code that we'll look at in a minute. And I'll see if I can make that font bigger. So here we are running. Okay, so Captain Iglo is orange. He's this guy right here. And I am red. And down here at the bottom you can see various things that happened. So the system's already run. Now notice what happened right there. I got stuck in that corner and I had to surface. And when I surface, it tells my opponent that I'm in this sector, sector 3. But it also cost me a life. So that cost me 1 hit to surface because my algorithm was stupid and it got itself stuck in a corner. So that's something that I got to work on fixing. My algorithm as far as movement goes is very naive. I basically try and go north if I can. If I can't go north, I'll go east. And if I can't go east, I'll go south. And if I can't go south, I'll go west. And so that's why you'll kind of see me, hugging the right edge of the map here as we go. Now my opponent is bouncing around and he's just randomly firing torpedoes. I am trying to figure out exactly where he is with my algorithm. And so, you'll see some output down here at the bottom, which we'll look at later. This is me trying to figure out where he might be based on his moves he's given. And once I know where he is, then I'll start shooting at him. If I pause this for a moment, I can check some of my output here. And I have screwed something up where I've said I have no idea where he started from. I have possible start location of 0, which should never happen. It should go from a large number and it should quickly whittle down to 1. But because of the fact that I wrote this code for the previous league and there was no such thing as, for instance, silence, he is using features that I don't even know about or use, right? I'm not using Sonar or silence, he is. So he's got an advantage over me because I have not updated my bot yet for this. Cool. Okay, so let me continue playing this. Right now he's lost a bunch of life, even though I haven't shot at him. That's because he's had to surface or he's fired his torpedoes somewhere close to himself. I just had to surface, so now I'm down to 4. Surface again, now I'm down to 3. So that's again just because my movement algorithm is not very good. Nobody's still telling me if you can hear me, so I sure hope you can hear me. Anybody in the chat want to say, yep, I can hear you? Alright, so loud and clear, thank you. Alright, so he had to surface again. He's still randomly shooting. I'm never going to fire a shot because there's no way I'm ever going to know where he is. So this is just going to come down to who kills themselves first from running into things or whatever. And so at the end of this, there, it just ended. So what ended it? Who even? Okay, he killed himself. So I actually won because he blew himself up with a torpedo. He fired a torpedo at his own spot, which was not the best move on his part. Okay, so that's an example fight. Now, if we look at the last battles that have fought, this kind of shows you against any other bot you want. You can see how your bot performed, and then you can rank them locally and try and fight them and see if you can beat them locally. Um, and so any of these where I'm on the left are battles that I won, and any of these where I'm on the right are battles I lost. And so I mostly don't care about battles I won. I mostly want to see, who do I need to beat to get past this league. And really, the only one I need to beat is this Captain Iglobot, right? So he's the only one that's above me. As soon as I get past him, I can move on to the next league. Okay, so let's look at the code for a bit. When you first start this, it's going to give you this class player. Let me zoom in a little bit. That might be better. Let's see if I can get the window a little bigger too. Can't make it taller. All right. So you're given this class player, and the way your bot works is it just needs to console write out its commands. And so the commands when you start are pretty straightforward. They are move north, south, east, west. They are charge some power. In the beginning, you only have torpedo. So the powers are these things you see here on the left and the right. Right? There's torpedo, takes 3 charges before it's ready to use. And then sonar and silence take 4 and 6, respectively. But those don't exist when you first start. Those are the commands you'll give. You also, when you first start up, you'll be given information about the map. So let's look here. Let's just go through the rules, and we'll talk more about the code as we go. So your submarines move on a map that has water and islands. They can only move on water, and they can share the same cell. They don't run into each other. The map is 15 by 15. It has 9 sectors that are each 5 by 5. You can see the map here, and you can see the sectors. So sector 1 up here, and 2 and 3 down to 9. If you mouse over the map, it'll tell you what any given cell is. So you can see it starts at 0, 0. X coordinates go as you go to the right. Y coordinates as you go down. The bottommost corner is 14, 14. Right? So it's a 2-dimensional array of 15 cells. So you'll see in my code here, I have a static map of a 15, 15 cell array. And I'm using a character type for that to determine what things there are. So I can print this out pretty easily. So I've got a few constants here that show if it's ocean, it's a dot. If it's island, it's an X. And when I first load the system, I generate the map, right? So this right here is my rendition of the map that you see here. And so these 2 X's up here represent this island at X1, 0, and 2, 0. Okay? So then looking back at the rules, at the beginning of the game, you get the map. It indicates where the islands are. There are obstacles. You cannot move through them. You should not start on them. So one of the first things that you need to do is say where you want to start. So in my code, my starting position code is here. It's pretty simple, right? It actually doesn't look at the map at all except to see whether or not I'm starting in an ocean character. And then it'll write the spot I want to start at, which in my case is always going to be the same lat and long, right? The same X and Y. So basically I start at 5, 5 on the map, and I just start looking diagonally from there. So 5, 5 is right there. And then I'll try 6, 6, and 7, 7, and 8, 8. Now I used to start at 0. And again, this is just a stupid, naive starting way to do this. And the reason I don't start at 0 anymore is because it's not uncommon for there to be islands over here in the corners that make it so that over in the top left or any other corner, actually, you're walled in, right? And so I've had a number of matches where I've lost because I've put myself into a little, 3 ocean spot, and I just go back and forth and die. And the reason why that's bad is because you're not allowed to retrace your path. If you have to go back into a spot you've already been in, then you will have to surface, and you'll lose a point of health. Alright, so at the start of the game you get the map, but then each turn you have to take an action, and you get some information given to you, and then you have different actions you can take. The most common action you're going to take is to move, and moving just moves you 1 cell in whatever direction, north, south, east, west. You can't go diagonally. You cannot move to a cell that you've already visited. Then you can also decide what to charge, some power. And so different devices require different amounts of charges. Torpedoes take 3. you can surface. And so surfacing resets your path of visited cells so that you can once more go places that you've touched. However, when you surface, your opponent knows what sector you are in, so they'll get that information, and you lose 1 hit point. So you can only surface so many times before you die in the game. All right, if you want to use torpedoes, you have to charge them 3 times before they're ready, and once they're charged, they can fire with a range of 4 cells. Again, not diagonally. So you can count from you go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. They also can't go through islands, right? So I can't get to this spot on the other side of this island because it would have to go through the island. My algorithm currently does do torpedo firing if I know where the opponent is, but it doesn't know about islands. So I will try and shoot through islands, and I will think that if the opponent is right there that they're in range, even though they're not. No, I'm actually not sure. I haven't seen what happens if that occurs where I try and shoot through an island and it's out of range. I'm sure the game stops me somehow, but I don't know if that wastes my torpedo or not. So I have to check that. There's 2 new things that I have now that I'm in this league. One is Sonar. Takes 4 charges to load. I have no code for this currently, so this is something we can work on today. Allows you to check whether the opponent's submarine is in a given sector. And then you will get the response the next time you run, and it will tell you when you issued the command, were they in that sector? They might since have moved out of it. And then Silence requires 6 charge actions to load, but allows you to move some number of cells, 0 to 4 cells. So this is actually a way to get out of dodge fast, because you can go 4 cells in one turn. In one direction, right? You can't change direction there. You just go straight for up to 4 cells in some direction. The key thing here is that your opponent does not know what you did. They don't know where you went. They don't know how far you went. All they know is, well, I don't even know what they get told. Maybe they get told silence. Yeah. The opponent will see that you move silently. That's all they know. All right, so here's the different commands. This is it. In the initial one, there were only these 3. Now, in the new league, there's Sonar and there's Silence. What you command is one of these strings. So you say move, direction, and then charge whatever. You can say torpedo or in this case Sonar or Silence. You may surface, and you may fire a torpedo at a location. This is an XY coordinate. You may sonar and check a certain location if your sonar is charged, and you'll get back a yes/no result. And you can run silently and give that a direction and distance. Alright, so victory condition, you have 300 turns max to fight, and you're trying to have more health than the opponent. There are some new loss conditions. In the earlier league, you didn't lose automatically if you sent an invalid command or took too long. Now you just straight up lose. Hey, how do you like the beard there, Dave? Alright, so if you reach 0 lives, you lose. That's the same as it was in the original league. And if you intersect your own path or run into an island or something, then you lose. In the original game, it's a little bit more forgiving. If you accidentally do any of these things, it would just issue a surface command instead. Now, if you do any of these things, you're just done. You're dead. And then expert rules, those are coming, I think, in a later league. I'm not there yet. All right, so inputs. On the first turn, here's how you're going to get the map. All right, so you get a width and a height, and whatever your ID is, 0 or 1, that tells you whether or not you're going to go first. Player 0 goes first. Ding. Ooh, what's that? Promotion to Bronze League. Did I just get promoted? I didn't even do anything. I think I got promoted. Bam. Okay. Well, guess what? Now I'm in the Bronze League. I didn't even implement anything. I guess my bot was good enough to beat the boss in the Wood League, even without knowing about Sonar and Silence. And now we have mines. So, nice. And I'm fighting whatever the heck that is. Some AI thing. Alright, well, let me finish talking about what you get when you start the game. We'll go through the code, and then we'll now be talking about this new league, which has mines in it, apparently. Okay, first turn, you get a map. It's height and width and height, and then you get coordinates of your starting position. So you need to spit that out yourself. That's what I'm doing here with this console write line. And then each turn you get 3 lines. So line 1 has 8 space separated integers. Your coordinates, x, y, your life, your opponent's life, and then the cooldown for your different powers. Torpedoes, sonar, silence, and mines. That's what these say. Okay, I don't remember what the cooldowns are. We'll look into that. But I think 0 means it's good to go and you're ready to shoot. And I think anything other than 0 is like how much more you've got to do. But I could have that backwards. In the IDE, it will show you what the status is of these things with these dots, how much charge they are. But you can only charge one of these things per turn, so they don't all just reset. Okay. What else? That's line 1. Line 2 gives you a sonar result. I've never used line 2 because I've never fired off sonar. So, but if you fire off sonar and you say, "Hey, are they in sector 4?" This will come back with a Y or an N. Or an NA, which is what it's always for me because I never use it. And then your opponent orders, you'll see what they did. So you might see that they moved north or that they fired a torpedo or whatever. Now, an interesting point here is that when you fire torpedoes, you can just sit still and fire a torpedo. You could just issue a torpedo command. Or you can chain commands together. So that's what this pipe operator is used to do multiple commands. You can only do one of each command per turn, though. But the most common thing you'll do is move and fire. But you can also shoot and then move. And so there's reasons why you might want to do that. For instance, your torpedo has a range of 4. If the enemy is at a range of 5, you might want to move into range and then shoot them. Alternately, if you were about to move out of range, because maybe your algorithm doesn't take into account where the enemy is, like mine doesn't, if you see that they're at a range of 4, you may want to shoot before you move. The other reason for shooting first and asking questions later is that if you get too close to them, you'll get caught in the torpedo blast yourself. So there is friendly fire here. Your torpedo will hurt yourself. And so if you fire at a range of 0 or 1, you will take damage. So torpedoes, I didn't mention this, but they're up here somewhere. These torpedoes do an explosion with 2 in the cell itself and 1 in all neighbors, including diagonal ones. So if I shoot an opponent that's like 1 away from me, I will take a point of damage, and they will take 2. If we're both sharing the same square and I fire up my own square, we'll each take 2 points of damage. So that's obviously only do that if you know you're going to win, because otherwise you're just killing yourself. All right, now my rank in the Bronze League is not very good because I just joined. But I'm probably still fighting. So here I just joined, and yeah, so these battles are ongoing, and it's matching me up against everybody else, and so it's 38% of the way through running these fights, and I am beating some people even in this league, but my bot is still a intro level bot that doesn't really know a lot of stuff, and I can tell right away looking at this that my guy's going to come up here and get stuck and die. So one of the things that I want to work on is my path algorithm, so that I don't have to do this and die quite so often. So I just lost a point because I got stuck in this cul-de-sac here. Now he's about to do the same thing over in this side. So we're both even now at 5-5. Now here we can drive this along and see what happens. And for some reason I'm firing torpedoes, which is weird because I only do that usually when I know where he is. Oh, I know why. Because he's surfacing and I don't take that into account. So I think I know where he is and I'm trying to shoot at him, but he's not there. Which is bad for me. So he's just hugging that left wall. And he's killing himself with that cul-de-sac. So I'm probably going to win this just because, yeah, he keeps running into things. So that's a lot of the times you'll win just from that. But look, I did finish him with a torpedo. So at this point I did know where he was, and I did hit him directly with a torpedo to finish him for the last shot. Alright. So we'll let these run, and probably I'll be somewhere better than 400th rank on this. But let's look at the code. This code, unfortunately, I can't run this in Visual Studio and have an actual project with tests and everything like I would like. You get one window, one file. And so we're going to do a lot of scrolling here to see stuff. So when you start, coming back to that, you're going to have this class player. It's going to have a static void main entry point. You're going to have your initial map to load, and so you're going to read information to get that. And so right here, this inputs, this is given to you. You're going to get the inputs with a console read line. And then we're going to loop through the inputs and see what the map looks like. So here I'm assigning the map to each line. And then I'm creating some cells. I'll talk about the cells in a little bit. I also create an opponent map so I can track what they're doing without messing up my master map. And then I use console.error. This is how you can see output. So if you write to console write line, that's issuing commands. And so if you want to see things that you just want to see for debug purposes, then use console error write line to send stuff out. And the opponent won't see that. All right, so let's play my code against whoever this AI person is. And we'll let that run while I look at the code. Okay, so my initial position, let me add a to-do here. I want to make sure that I'm not starting in some little closed-off pond that has nowhere to go. So look, what should I say here? Verify not in a fenced-in area, we'll say. So that's a to-do. I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, mostly I've mitigated that by starting in the middle of the map, because these islands I think are generated randomly. And so they would randomly close off a corner from time to time. But I've never seen them close off the center of the map. So I'm probably okay. That's a low priority. I'm probably okay with most of the time just starting somewhere in this middle area. Alright, so this AI guy, he's dropping mines all over the place. I don't know if I trigger those by just running into them or if they, or if he has to trigger them. But yeah, he's got a lot of them. Okay, we'll come back to that. Alright, so then there's your game loop. So you got a while true loop that just keeps running until the game ends. And so it's going to do a read line. And remember, each turn, there's 3 lines. And we talked about what those 3 lines had. So the first line gives you your XY coordinate. It tells you your life and your opponent's life. And tells you your cooldown for your different powers. Right? Then the next line, line 2, is Sonar result. And line 3 is what did your opponent do? So I have some code here that's going to log what my opponent did, and then I'm going to use that to try and figure out where they are. And we'll look at that code in just a second. If I know where they are, then I'm going to see whether or not they're in range. So I'm going to sort the possible places where they might be. And notice the enemy position known is actually anywhere between 1 and 4 spots that they might be in. Originally, this was just a boolean of do I know exactly where they are, but I've modified it to make it so I kind of have an idea of where they are. And I can tweak this too, but the idea was, like a lot of the times I would know, let's see, who won this one? Did I beat him? I think, oh, I hit a mine. That's not good. Alright, so he triggered the mine and killed me, so I lost. Alright, but so like, let's say, that I think that he could be in this spot or any of these 3 spots around there, I could fire a torpedo at any of those spots and he'd be in the blast range. So I don't want to wait until I know exactly where he is. I'm okay to fire and, you know, it's close enough, right? Close enough counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and torpedoes. Okay. So if I have a good idea where he is, then I'm going to try and shoot at him if he's also in range. So this now does a calculate range of his position and my position to figure out how close he is. And so I have a separate method for calculating range. And then I order these by that range. So the closer range ones will be closest to me, or will be at the top of the list. And I grab the first one, or default. So if it's not null, then I'm going to shoot. Now, if I don't check for this null, if I have an error, then I lose at this league level. So in the early level, if you have errors, you'll just surface, and maybe the next time around you won't hit the error, so you might still survive. But now at this level of league, errors are not forgiven. You just lose. So I want to make sure I've got some good error checking here, just to make sure I don't, you know, accidentally lose just because there was an error. Okay, so then in here, I'm going to calculate the range. Doing this twice, that's probably not very efficient, because I've already figured it out here. So there's probably some way I could pull this back in projection or something from this call. Um, so we'll have to think about that. Maybe there's a way to not have to check that again. But it's pretty cheap. It's literally just doing like 2 bits of math to compare the X and Y. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll display the range to the enemy if I know it. So this only happens if their position is known. Then I'll calculate that range and display it. If the range is 4, I've hard-coded this, and I already told you why. I want to shoot them before I move, just because I might be moving out of range. And if I'm about to move out of range, I want to get my shot off before that happens. Now here's my command, and I'm going to say torpedo XY, and then I'm going to add this pipe character. So my command building logic is really horrible right now. It's all hard-coded strings and just throwing the pipe character in there where I think I need it. What I really should do, if this were good code that I wanted to be able to maintain, is have something like a command builder that would know how to add commands to a queue, let's say. And then when I finally am ready to issue the command, it would be responsible for separating them with the separator as needed. So one of the reasons why I don't have that is because I don't have any tests and I don't have a proper project. But I won't totally let that stop me. I'll work on some of that today, hopefully. Okay. If my torpedo's not ready, then I'll just write out that I'm reloading. And then otherwise I'll say I can't locate the opponent. Alright, so then down here, this is my main move algorithm. So I need to fix this because it's really stupid. So my move algorithm says if the location if my location on Y is greater than 0, so I'm not in the top row, because I can't go north from the top row, and the location of the cell directly north of me is an ocean character, so like if I'm here, I'm at X3, Y9. If I check X3, Y8 right there, that's island, not ocean. So it would fail this if check. Then I'm going to set my Y to be my -1. That's just for my own tracking purposes, because I'm going to use that in a second when I also see if I'm in range now. And then I'm going to add the command to move north and charge torpedo. And I do the same thing for east, south, and west. So I basically try and go north, and then east, and then south, and then west. With no randomness and no, it's totally predictable. And I don't check to see anything other than if that cell is open. Like, for instance, I don't check to see if it's a dead end. Hey, Surly Dev, how's it going? So I have a friend who's also doing this, and any of you that want to join, join up and just add Ardalis as a friend, and see how you do against my bot. Pretty good. Staying home, working out of my basement, sheltering in place and all that. So yeah, like I say, if you guys want to add this thing, try the contest yourself. It gives you the code you need to get started. Go ahead and add me as a friend, and you can play your bot against mine. I was in NDC London back in January, which seems forever ago now. So I recorded about 8 shows there on my podcast, and I think the last one with Jimmy Bogard was just went out this week. I think that's the last one. Maybe no, actually no, it's not. I've got like one more. So yeah, so that helped queue up a bunch of shows, but now it's like, whoa, that was so long ago. But the alternative before that was that I was missing weeks, frequently on my podcast, so I was thankful to do that. Should have popped in for a brew. Well, you could have come to NDC London. Only 200. Yeah, it's a ways away though. Hey, Meliodas-san. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that how you do. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Alright, so another to-do here is that I need to make this smarter. Right now it has no smarts at all. If I don't get a command out of this, like if I check all these different directions and I fall through all these ifs, then I'm going to surface. In the initial league, if you don't have this type of logic, you'll just surface anyway, and that's just what the game does. In the later leagues, you will lose if you try and move somewhere you shouldn't. Yeah, this was my first NDC, Surly Dev. I really enjoyed it. I only had 9 people in my workshop. I was hoping for more, and most of the time when I do a workshop in the States, it usually has like 30 or 40 people. But it worked out well. And it was my first time in London, my first time in UK, so that was fun. All right. You can issue messages if you want. Messages will show up here, and you can basically taunt your opponent or something. I was using them for debug info for a while, so I was like showing a list of all the opponent's move history. Um, but I quit doing that. It wasn't really useful, and I decided to do that in the debug instead. So you can see it's down here in my debug. My workshop was on domain-driven design with ASP.NET Core, which I've been given for the last few years now, and it's pretty popular. It's pretty well polished at this point. It's got a bunch of hands-on labs that the students go through, and by the end of the time, you're familiar with most domain-driven design concepts and design patterns using .NET Core and C Sharp. Something just dinged, and I don't know what it was. Hmm. Yeah, well, maybe next time, Surly. All right. Okay, so then I've got this other logic down here to see if I want to fire a torpedo now after moving. And so if I know where the enemy is and if the torpedo is still ready, so I added this check because if I already fired it before I moved, I can't fire another one now. And all of the information from the game about torpedo cooldown is going to indicate that I'm ready to fire, because it doesn't know that I already, issued a command to fire. So I added that logic to verify it. So it starts out here. It is 0. Okay, so if torpedo cooldown is 0, then my torpedo is ready to fire. But then I set it to false here if I issue a command at the start. All right. Then the rest of this logic is pretty much the same. There's probably a good way to make it less duplicate. The pling was Connor Roth following me. That could be. But you all should be following me, so there should be just this cacophony of dings. Right? Let's see. Search. Are you Connor Roth? I think their friendliness in this is if I follow you and you follow me, then it thinks we're friends. So let's assume that's you right there. No, I didn't say exit. I want to follow you. Sharing link. Search. Maybe this link will let you follow me even easier. I don't know. We'll try it. There's that. And then if I search you, sure, yeah, exit the page, fine. Then I'm here. I found you. I can follow you. Now maybe we're friends. Cool. All right. Let me come back to my compete ocean of code. Is there some way to get back to that? I think I just have to say start. There we go. Now we're back. Boom. Friends. That's not helpful. Leaderboard? That's my league. I don't know. There's some way to see your friends, I guess. Oh, wait. I can do gamers I follow. Alright, so there's me and anyone I follow. Nobody else is in my league anymore. You guys are so out of my league. Around me? That's neat. Okay. I'm not sure how it knows what's around me. Okay, so we have to be in the same league to really see each other. So if you're in the Wood 2 league, that's where you'll start. You need to advance from there before you'll be able to see me. But you could see one another if you want. You heard a loud pling. Alright, cool. So that's how that works. So if any of the rest of you want to follow along here, you'll cause additional loud plings. Okay. I think I'm close to the bottom of my code here. So I'm going to shoot after moving. Here's where I actually write out the command. And then I check to see my previous target. And the reason for that is I want to know if my torpedo hit the target. Because if I hit them, then I know for sure where they are if it was a direct hit. And so I need to know what their previous target location was. And so I set that here that just says where did I shoot. And then when I get their health up here, no, right here, opponent life, I have this check to see if I had a direct hit. So if their previous opponent life minus their current opponent life equals 2, meaning they took 2 damage, then I know it was a direct hit. The only thing in the game when I wrote this that did 2 damage was that. One sec. All right. Nobody else has any questions. Let's write some code finally. All right. We have mines and sonars and silence and things to deal with, but also I want my move loop to be a little smarter. So let me find my last battles here. Looks like I'm up to speed. My rank, what is my rank now? Rank is still 418. That's horrible. I could submit my thing. Let's see who I lose to. Let's look at this person here, and let's see what happened. All right, so red is just firing torpedoes every chance he gets. He's driving around. On here, you can kind of see events. So this is me running into a thing here. So what I can do is I can take this. It's showing me all the output. There's a way for me to pull this into the IDE. So yes. All right. So now this person is who I'm going to be testing against. And so with this map, this spot right here, I want to avoid going down that spot. So I'm going to try and adjust my code to detect whether I'm about to hit a path that's going to be a dead end. And if we move this along, let's see how many times I hit dead ends. So I'm going to drive along here, not too many. Yeah, he knows right where I am and he's shooting me. Now I knew where he was too, so you can see I got him with a direct hit right there. But then he finishes me off. And before that, he managed to hit me there and there. So he found me, and I don't know what was going on there. If we look at my output, I'm saying his possible start locations are 2. I think he's at location 10, 11, and 10, 11 is nowhere near where he is. 10, 11 is like right there. So I'm way off for some reason. And I'm not sure why. So I've got some bugs in my enemy detection code. But eventually I do nail down where he is, right? Or at least I start shooting at him, because I do get a shot off here at the end. Right there, I know where he is. So torpedo away. Possible start locations 1. I know exactly where he is. He's at 8.5. And yes, there he is at 8.5. So I managed to sort it out. For some reason I was off. This must have been a possible start location that I was thinking he might have still been at, because I had 2. And so perhaps his path that started here could also have started here and would have led him here, and I shot at the closer one, or I was going to shoot at the closer one. Alright, so let's think about my movement loop first. We'll get to the shooting later and see if there's smarter ways for me to find it. But when I'm there, right, I want to turn right. There's no way I want to keep going east, because I know that that's going to cause me a point of damage as soon as I get there. Now it's even worse. What's even stupider, I guess, if this weren't 2 levels deep, right? If it was only 1 level deep, and say these weren't islands, but these were, I'd want to make that turn before I went into that dead end. Okay, so how do I detect in my move not only whether or not I'm about to move into a spot that is invalid itself, but also if it's a spot that's got nowhere else to go? I can exhaustively check how many places each one can move, right? So like if I check this one, how many places can it move? It can't go here. It's only got 1 spot it can go, right? It can only go east, right? It can't go north, south, or west, because my path has already been here. And then I could check the one after that. If it's only got 1 other place it can go, if that one too has nowhere to go, then I would be blocked, right? So now let's look at this position here, right? If I'm about to go east in that spot, it would be the same deal, right? This one can only go one place, can only go one place, only go one place, only go one place, only go one place, and it's dead, right? So I could check that path and say, as long as each one only has one way it can go, verify that that it's a dead end. Um, don't go that way, right? If I've got a choice between this path that's going to dead end me and this path that's got the wide open ocean, take the wide open ocean every time. So that's an algorithm I could look at. Now it wouldn't work here, I don't think, right? So if I'm here and I'm thinking about going south, right? None of these have only one spot they could go. I can still do some kind of algorithm to verify all this total area is small, but checking only if it has one possible path and repeating on that wouldn't work here. So I wonder if it's worth even implementing that algorithm of one path, or if I should rather do something more general purpose, like, is there more room here? And then another option is, what if I know where the enemy is, right? Should I be driving toward the enemy? Because I might know at this point, if we look at my information here, I know his possible start locations were 51 places. And so this is showing me all the places he might have started. It's not showing where he could be right now. I can easily get that information, but but for now, he could have started in these top two spots or any of these dots, which is this whole sectors 2 and 5. But I know he didn't start over here, right? I know he didn't start anywhere in the right two columns. I know he didn't start anywhere in the southern part of the map. So why am I driving east when I know he's west, right? Maybe I should just take a south and start heading west and get closer to him so I can start shooting at him. And in this case, this would also keep me from going into a dead end, right? I think maybe staying away from the edges of the map might be a good idea too, because there's more likely to be dead ends in the edges, and especially in the corners, right? This corner is a dead end, this corner is a dead end, this corner is a dead end. Stay away from those corners and I'll have a lot more room to move. All right, so all of that is things to consider in terms of the algorithm. I could try and drive toward him. I could try and avoid paths that have dead ends. I could try and count. What if you want him to come to you instead of going to him? That works too, but that relies on his algorithm, and a lot of the algorithms I think are pretty dumb, Brian. But that's a good thing to think about. And if I'm using mines, right, then maybe I don't want to go to him. Maybe I just want to leave a trail of mines behind me until he gets to them, and then just blow him up, and then I never even have to get close to him, which is safer for me, because if his bot's as smart as mine is and it knows where I am, if I get in range, he's going to shoot me too. So I haven't had to deal with mines yet, but that'll be something to think about later. A lot of these fights, especially in the early leagues, the winner was just whoever didn't get themselves into a corner and kill themselves. And so I want to at least stop doing this stupid stuff, right? There's no reason why I wanted to go east here. Yeah, so let's look at some of the other algorithms I've already got, some of the intel I've already put in here. So clear path, all this does is remove all the path detail behind me, and I call that every time I surface. So the game does this too. So when I get here and I surface, boom, you see my path disappeared. This just does that for my own purposes, so I can track where I've been. Getting a command argument, this is some code that just listens to what the opponent's orders were and pulls like what direction they were going, so I can put it into my list of their moves. Log opponent move does what it sounds like. Mostly it does stuff when they move. And then I update their map. When I update their map, I check to see what their possible location is, and I run through that and I check to see where they could start. Now there's some bugs in this, I know. And for one thing, it doesn't account for things like silence. So if they run silent, I'll have no idea what that means, and my map will be totally messed up. And I've got some logic here to check whether they could start there. And this does a for each over their move history from wherever they started and verifies whether or not they go off the map. So this checks to see if they would leave the map. This checks to see if they would hit an island. I don't even check to see if they hit their previous location because the game won't let them. So I don't have to worry about that. And so this basically starts to narrow down where they are. And so if we look a little further along in the game here, I've said they could have started at those two, those two, those two, or that one spot. So I've got a location narrowed down to 6 places where they could have started and had this path that you see. Later on, I narrow that down further. We've gone 85 moves, and I still don't know where he started. There's still 3 choices where he could have been. And it's basically there or there or there. So he could have started right there, 2-2, or skip 2 here, 5-2 or 6-2. I know he started in row 2. And again, that doesn't take into account if he had gone silence or anything, but he's not using that either, so that's okay. Thanks for the follow, Brian. Appreciate it. This print map does what it sounds like. It just dumps this thing out so I can see what my intel is at this state of the game. This flatten thing just takes a 2D array and flattens it out so I can iterate over the whole thing. Calculate range just does a math absolute value on XY. Does not take into account islands, for instance. So I should do take into account islands. Right, so if he is here and I am here and there's an island in between us, I'm going to say I'm at X11, he's at Y11, I'm at Y10 and he's at Y14. I'm going to say our range is 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. But it's not, because I would have to go around the island. It'd have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he'd be out of range. Leanwit, thanks for the follow. Mark impossible starting sectors except. Okay, so one of the bots that you fight, the first bot you fight in the first league, every time he surfaces on his first move. Usually he starts in sector 7. So what I would do with this is I would say everything that's not sector 7, say it's not a possible start point. Right, so I'd right away narrow my search down to just that sector. Now most real bots that you're going to fight, they're not going to do something stupid like that. I'm pretty sure that was there just to make that bot easier to kill. But it would quickly eliminate, 80% or whatever, 8/9 of the board from consideration. So that's what that does. And I call this basically if they surface. So somewhere in here when I'm logging the opponent's move, if their order contains surface, then I will figure out what their command argument was. That's going to be the sector. And then I will mark everything but that sector as impossible for them to have started there. Okay. That's all my code. Well, it's almost all my code. The one object I've added besides player that they give you is cell. And I use cell to track mostly the opponent intel stuff. So could they have started here? What sector is it? Is it possible that's where they are now? And is it ocean? So it's either ocean or it's island. Okay, so I can use this list of cells or my map, either one. My map is still just a list of characters, but I could change that to be cells if it helped. Because something else that a cell might know would be how many valid neighbors does it have, right? And that could be useful to know. So if I look at this cell right here, 14-0, if I knew that it had only one valid neighbor, one ocean space adjacent where it could possibly go, I never want to go there. And then this one only has 2. I probably don't want to go there. And maybe I create an algorithm that's like, hey, go to the one that has the most valid neighbors. Now then the question becomes, do I adjust that with my path as I go, and do I do that in the cell itself, or do I do that somewhere else? Those are things to think about. So we can try different strategies for my move. That's another thing, is this is all just hard-coded. There's no strategy here. Like, it would be smart, I think, to pull this out into some kind of a strategy that I could inject. And this might be the move strategy of, northeast, southwest. Maybe we try a strategy against bots that is a, close the range strategy, and see what that does. And then, maybe we try another strategy that is, avoid the edges, right? And just try and get close to the center of the map as you can, something like that. So if I want to strategize this, really all it's going to do is append a command to this string. And so that could easily be done as just a return statement, maybe? I don't have to actually use like dependency injection or anything. I can just swap out a different call to a different function, because there's no easy way to do DI in here. I just new up a move strategy that creates a command. What would it need? It would need to know XY, and it would need to know the map. Yeah, so let's pull this into at least a helper method. What do I call it? Most of these things are static because they're being called from a static void main. So private static string, let's get the command back as our string, and this will be north, east, south, west, move strategy. And I just want to return back a command or an empty string. So return string.empty as my default behavior. Otherwise, we're going to take this and cut that out of there, and instead assign command, hang on, not assign, plus equal command. Alright, so plus equal command, so cut that out of there, command plus equal result of northeast southwest move strategy. So I'll paste this in here before I lose my clipboard, take that and stick it up here, like that. Alright, now it's going to need something, probably at least a map. The other thing I don't like is I don't think I can shift tab here. Oh, I can. Alright, nice. Okay, so I need the map, because the map is... Where's the map available? I think I made the map available. Map is public static, so it's available. Okay. X and Y, though... X and Y are local ints inside the loop. So I need those. So I'm going to pass in X and Y. Here, int X, int Y, and we'll pass those in somewhere right here. X, Y. Alright, so now let's play my code. I haven't changed anything, I'm just refactoring. I have no tests. So my test is right here. I get standard error. The name command does not exist in the current context. Okay, so here's the command right there. I need to pass that as well. Or do I? I don't want to plus equal the command anymore. But I do need to know it. So I do need to pass it in. So string command has to come in, but now instead of appending to it, I just want to return this value. Return. Why am I doing this inconsistently? I can't, obviously if I make it a return, I can't do stuff after that, so let's put these over here. Now, changing these X and Y variables in here is not going to have the effect I want, because these are going to get passed on the stack. And they're not passed as references. So when I change Y here, it's not going to change it in the outer program like I would like it to. So that's going to be a bug I'm going to have to address. So we'll get back to that. Let's just make this work for now with the returns. Okay. And then these have to be up. Okay. Now if I made this like a cell, then that would work. Or if I made it a position or something like that. But we'll work on that in a minute. Alright, so now I need to pass command in here. So x comma y comma command. Command plus equals that. Alright. Now the reason why I'm modifying x and y is because of this right here. Because I need to know that after my movement command has been processed, my new location is going to be this xy, not the xy I started at. So we'll work on that. Alright, let's see if we can at least get past the syntax error. Okay, got a new map. And it's playing. Alright. Looks like I'm losing. Lost life, surfaced, yeah. I'm still bouncing around into dead ends here. That's what's killing me. So I gotta get past that. Okay. So what's the easiest way for me to pull these XYs out of here when they are statics, right? So I can probably promote that XY to be a higher level, class level item. They aren't currently, so that's all I need to do is pull those parameters up. So we're going to have a public static int x. I probably want to give that a different case there to make it public instead of lowercase x and y, but for now that'll work. And so these just need to not be set like that. And now that should work, and in fact it should mean that I no longer need to pass those things. So in here I can get rid of them there, and here I can get rid of them as well, and try the code again. Alright, another new map, and no syntax errors, so let's get things work. Alright, so that pulled our strategy out into a different thing. Now I want to create a new strategy. That was the point of that, was to be able to have a different method. So we're going to do a private static string stay center. What should I do? I could try and track him. I can try and go to places that have the most openness, or I can try and stay away from the edges. In the initial part of the game, I'm not going to know where he is with any degree of accuracy, so that'll be tough to implement early in the game. Let's go with prefer open space strategy. Alright. And with this strategy, I want to be able to calculate my neighbors and see which ones of my neighbors have the most open space around them. So I only have 4 neighbors. They're north, south, east, west. Each one can be represented either just by an array cell, like a character or something, or I could create a class for it. If I want to, I can use my cell class that I already have, which might not be a bad idea. And I've got a map that I could switch that map over to use cells, and then maybe I just calculate their base neighbors without my path in them at the game start. Maybe we do that. So let's go up here and let's do a refactor to make cell use not just for the enemy map but also for the real map, the map that I use. So this map here, I can make that a cell, make that a new cell, and then look for any instance of that. That's here. Initially this thing just grabbed the whole line of characters. Well, grabbed a character from there, but it should do this now, same as that. Map, so color row. Alright, yeah, it needs to be exactly the same as this. In fact, do I want to just use the same cell for both? Probably. So if I create this cell and I add it there, I can just add it to my map as well. So there's probably a reason why I don't want to do that at some point and have it be the same reference, the same cell, but I can't think of a reason why that's going to bite me right now, so let's do that. In fact, I probably only need one map, is where we'll get to, and I probably won't need a separate opponent map. But we'll limit what we're changing here for now. This is going to check to see if it's an ocean character, That no longer needs to be the case because now it's give me IntelliSense. It's going to have is ocean as a thing. So if is ocean, that's a good thing. We're going to do that. That's my starting position. I need to make sure I start in ocean place. Where else are we using map? Here's map. So map xy equals star. This is saying where I am, I have traveled to. Star is my path character. So the first thing I should do is change that to be a reference to path character. But I'm going to get rid of that immediately because I need to specify that was in my path, and cell doesn't have that yet. So we need a public bool. What would I call that? This is a cell I have traveled to. This is in my path. Let's just say is path. And we'll default that to false. Alright, so now I have an is path. Now I don't need a path. Well, I'll still use the path character when I print it out, perhaps. I'm not sure I'm doing that anywhere currently, but we'll keep it for now. Alright, so this map xy equals path character, that should instead be dot is path equal true. Alright. That all stays the same. We're still looking for map. Where else am I using map? Might be about it. Except for when I gotta move. Yeah, so when I move, these things, instead of doing these Boolean checks for equal ocean care, these can now just be dot is ocean. Which is much more OO than it was. So I just want to say dot is ocean, copy that, double equal that, goes away, and goes away, and same, okay. What else? Here's some more map stuff. Clear path. If map equals path character, change it. I don't need that anymore. I can just say for everywhere, map dot is path equal false when I go to clear it. And I probably don't even need this nested for loop here because I could have just used my what's it called? My flatten command here to get that because it does that for me. So maybe we do that. Maybe we just say flatten map. And then I can do, nah, I don't want to, we'll leave it alone. I don't want to cause bugs. Okay. What else uses map? There's map. We're going from a character, two-dimensional character array to an array of cells. And in the array of cells, now, once we get this to work, let's replay, just see if I caused any bugs, any syntax errors. I miss having a real IDE. There's an error here. Prefer open space strategy does not return a val. Yeah, okay. That one I know about. I'm not calling it yet either. That's fine. So replay that. Okay, the type cell does not contain a definition for is path. Really? What did I call it? Is path. It's interesting that you're saying cell something comma something. So cell array does not contain is path. That's a problem. Map. Oh, right. That's why. Still need to say I comma j. Because it's x, I comma j. Like that. Alright. Now try. Now it's working. Okay. Okay, so we haven't changed the actual code here. Alright, but when we load up this cell, well, let's see, as we load it, we can't check any individual thing, but we can write another method that does. So let's create a method that will set, what do I call it? Possible exits or open neighbors? What? Private static. Let's see. Since I'm tracking path now on my map, I can easily verify all the available spaces that can do it. So update allowed moves for the whole map. Let's just do that. Alright, so now we can basically just loop over the whole thing. So let's steal some code that loops over the map. If we flatten it, that's probably fine. Gives me an enumerable. Okay. So we can just loop over the map with a for each. Var cell in flatten of map. That's my enumerable. Okay, so in here, I know the XY on each cell. So int allowed moves is going to be starting at 0, and we can say, well, if cell dot, let's look at our north seeking, this is our north option here. So if cell dot y is greater than 0, cell dot y, there's a y, right? It's greater than 0, that means I could go north, or I can at least check north. Then we want to check if I can go north. So now if map of cell.x comma cell.y minus 1, cell directly above it, I want to check two things. I want to say if that cell, let's assign it first. So I'm going to check multiple things. So neighbor equals map cell.x cell.y minus 1. There's my neighbor. And then I can say if, get rid of that junk, say neighbor dot is ocean and not neighbor dot is path. Now I can say allowed moves increment. Right? I think that works. Anybody see any reason that wouldn't work? The reason why I need to do this check is because I don't want to do an array out of bounds exception. When I check cell.y minus 1, if that's -1, it's going to blow up. Alright, so then I would just repeat this for east, west, south as well. And when I'm done, I'm going to set the allowed moves. So I need to have a counter for that. So let's do public int allowed moves get set equals start 0, and down here update allowed moves cell dot allowed moves equals allowed moves. Alright, we've only checked north so far. Let's pop out the rest. If cell dot x is greater than 0, then we're going to check x minus 1 y. That would be if they go west, and otherwise it's the same. And then we need to know the east and the south. I'll just grab both of these. But now instead of greater than 0, we want them to be a y less than the height. Height is the right name. height and width, yeah. Y less than height minus 1. Should be the same logic I have in the moves. Yeah, right there. And x is less than width minus 1. Right? X minus 1, x minus 1, y plus 1. When you go south, it increases as you go south. And width, this will be x plus 1, it increases as you go east. Yes. Alright, so now we might get allowed moves all the way up to 4. Anything I'm moving toward has a maximum number of allowed moves of 3 because where I'm starting from is already in my path. Yeah. Okay, so now we know all the moves. We gotta call this somewhere. So update allowed moves we'll call right after we know where we are and after we set my path. So here we update the map and then we update allowed moves. Okay. And at that point, when it's time to do the strategy, I can just order all the possible places I could go. Here it is. By which one has the most possible allowed moves. So, let's see. Var neighbors equals list of cell equal new list of cell, I guess. And we'll just add the neighbors. If there's a way to reuse this code. I'm doing the same if check a lot. It's really annoying. Could the cells themselves know about their neighbors? Not when they get created, but maybe later. I really hate this fact that I'm having to deal with this array indexing logic everywhere. That's very low level. There should be a smarter way for me to do that. Like every cell could just have a list of its neighbors. I don't like the circular dependency between a cell and a map, but that would be an easy way to do this. So maybe I'll end up doing that. But for now, let's keep it with the if statements. So my north neighbor basically is going to be this code here. If where am I? It's going to be my x that I need to use and my y. So let's steal this code. No, let's not. Let's see. If my x is greater than 0, actually my y is greater than 0, so I'm not in the top row, then I can add a north neighbor. So if map of x comma y minus 1, the one north of me, dot is ocean and not neighbor dot is path, there's that. Now, I don't want to have to do this check over and over again like this. That's something I could bake right into here. So is ocean, is path, public bool is valid to move into, is a combination of is ocean and not is path, like that. So is valid to move into is what I really want. And that gets rid of a lot of booleans in my if statements. So neighbor dot is valid to move into. Let's oh, and also don't have, like, at home, I don't have my Stream Deck to play with, so I don't have sounds and transitions and all that. Leeting Lady, thank you for the follow. Alright. Is valid to move into is nicer than what I had before, so we can do that. If thing is valid to move into, then we're going to add it to the list. Alright, so neighbors dot add map of x comma y minus 1, like that. Okay. Now I need to repeat that. Oh, this is so ugly. For each of the other directions. Why do I need to do that every time? And why don't I just have a list of neighbors in each cell? Then when do I update it? I don't know. We'll stick with this ugliness for now. Alright, so copy paste once. If x is greater than 0, then we can check x minus 1, and we can add x minus 1, y. And then if we do both of those again, now we check if y is less than height minus 1. We check if x is less than width minus 1. Then we can do y plus 1 to go further south. And we can do x plus 1 to go further east. Alright, so there's all my neighbors. Okay, now that's the whole point of that was to find the one that has the most neighbors. So not the most neighbors, the most shoot, what do I call that property? Allowed moves. Yeah, most allowed moves. So now update allowed moves, prefer open space. Here we go. So the most allowed moves, let's see, var most open cell equals my list of cells, neighbors, dot order by cell such that c dot allowed moves to order by descending. Dot first or default. Bam. If most open cell. Oh shoot. Shoot. I'm gonna have to figure out what direction it was in after the fact. That's annoying. I don't want to have to do another one of these if trees to figure out which direction I would have to go to move toward that cell. That's horrible. But I might have to. Because that type, that cell type, does not know anything about that direction. Alright, it's not hard to figure out. Alright, if most open cell not equal null, well, let's just say if it equals null, then we're going to return that. That gets us out of our error case. Now we have a most open cell, so we're going to just say if most open cell dot x is greater than x, then I know I want to return a command that would take me in direction bigger x is east. So we would do this one right here. Actually, we'll do both of those things. We'll say x plus plus, return, move east, charge torpedo. Okay, and then repeat that. So, if most open cell is y, that means we're going to go south. It's greater than y, we're going to increment y. And we're going to move south. Technical debt on this is increasing with every copy paste, so we'll have to restructure this when we can. Alright, now, if x is less than x, that means I want to decrement x, and I want to move west. And if y is less than y, likewise, decrement y, and y, that means I'm going north. Yes. Okay. Which sounds backwards, but numbers get bigger as you go south. Okay, greater, greater, plus, plus, less, less, minus, minus. That all looks good. Now it's just a matter of calling this thing a moment of truth. So we're going to say prefer open space strategy is the strategy we're going to use instead now. Way up here, there. And we're going to get rid of that one. And we can add an if statement check to do that. But let's see what happened on this fight. I can't tell why this ended. Alright, well let's just play a new one. Let's fix any bugs we have. Alright, class struct or interface method must have a return type. Yeah, that's true. That should be void. Prefer open space strategy, not all code paths return a value. Well, okay. I mean, you're not wrong. So, we'll do that. I don't like doing that in two places though, so I guess we'll do not equal null, then do this big pile of stuff. That way we're not returning the same thing from two different spots. That's better. Alright. You guys are being awfully quiet. Any thoughts on this? Is this going to work? Is it going to be better? Where am I going to go now? I don't even know. Facing Captain Nemo. That sounds like the person I got to beat to get out of this league. Go, go, go. Alright, just play. So, I'm avoiding edges now? Oh, I didn't turn in there, that's good. It's definitely a totally different move algorithm for me. Alright, I didn't go into the dead end. That's good. Let's see how many dead ends we end up hitting. Alright, he's charged up silence. Which, I haven't seen him use, but maybe he's used it and I'm not tracking it. And he is not hitting me with his torpedoes every time, but he is sometimes. Yeah, he just blew me away. Okay, but I didn't go into any dead ends. That's what I was looking for. So if we look at my path here, this is a interesting looking path. It keeps me away from edges and islands. And I like that. I think that's probably not bad. So his use of silence killed me, I think, because I didn't know where he was. So where did he go? Right there. He used silence. And I am still tracking him as if he was right there. Right? So there's his path that he was on. And I don't know what he did with it. Silence north 1. So he just went north 1 position. But I don't know that. So I'm still tracking him as if he was one further south than that point. So if he does silence, what should I do with my path tracking? Should I just start over again and not know where he is, or what? Definitely gets a lot harder. And also, do I want to use silence? It seems to me like the time to charge up silence is at the beginning. Because I'm not going to be ready to fire torpedoes at the beginning anyway. So I may as well charge up silence first, and then charge up torpedoes. Unless I know where he is. If I know where he is, I just want to keep charging torpedoes. probably. Alright, so I think I'm happy with this code. I'm not blowing up. Let's submit it. And when you submit, it'll run you against everybody in your league. And you can submit as often as you want. So anytime you make a little change, you want to see what it's doing, how it affects your skill with other people, go ahead and submit. Captain Nemo is now rank 7. So basically all these people that are above Captain Nemo are going to advance to the next league at some point in the near future. Okay. Let's see how I do with the new movement strategy. I'm going to end up stuck in a corner here. I didn't go up there and get killed. That's good. He's just randomly bouncing around shooting torpedoes, hoping. He did use silence, or he did charge silence, so he might have he might use that. He's charging sonar too. That's interesting. Ooh, he just silenced his way over there, and now he knows right where I am. Bam, bam. Yeah, this is gonna end badly for me here, real quick. Boom. Okay. All right. What am I doing? I'm losing to a lot of people. Alright. I think I'm going to need to figure out how to use silence. I like my strategy though. I think I'm going to stick with that. This code's going to get really nasty when I need to start doing different types of commands for things to charge. So right now, every time I do a move command, I'm always telling it to charge torpedo. Which is not good. That's what this is. So I need to do that command builder, I think. I think that would be a better way to go. And then I can, as part of the command builder, I can just set what I want to charge and specify that in there. So let's make a command builder class. I think I'm still in my class, aren't I? Yeah, there's no namespace here, so I need to be outside that curly bracket. And here I can do public class command builder. And it should have a public string build method that returns the commands. And so for now, that's just going to be string.empty. Alright. Now, this should have a move command. Public command builder move, let's say north. Let's say what we're going to charge as part of the move command. No, we can say that. We can say that anywhere. So let's do that. And this should just give me, I think I need a list of commands. Maybe. Let's see. Private const string move format string equals direction charge. Is that worth having? It's really, it's direction, well, it's move, that's what it was. Move, direction, charge. Right? Like that, move and torpedo. Okay. So that's good. And when we do move north, we will just say list of string moves equal new list of string. Moves.add string.format. Actually, I don't need that to be a placeholder. Let's just call that charge. And this can be string.format, move format, string, and right. And then if we wanted to have we'll have south and all the other things, but if we do charge torpedo, I don't want to do it here. I guess this should just be a private string charge. It's empty string. Then this just becomes charge equal torpedo. That. Now this build is going to have to build the string. So we're going to take moves. So let's see. Return moves dot toArray dot join on pipe separator dot replace charge with charge, like that. Now this is where it'd be nice to have some unit tests. So I'm sure I got the syntax on this wrong. Let's just run it through the build. Unexpected simple semicolon. Really? Where? There. Yeah, okay. Let's try that again. Error. Command move north does not all return. Okay. Yeah, that should be return this. Okay, charge torpedo likewise should say return this. That's the builder pattern at work. No overload for method join. It's gonna be string.join. Let's see. I think string.join takes an IEnumerable, so I don't probably need that toArray. So I can say return string.join that comma moves. Just leveled up again. Okay. Don't know what that means. Tester home edition. I guess because I'm testing this thing. Alright, so that actually passed. I'm not using this thing yet, but I want to compile it. Alright, so now my command builder has moved north. Let's give it southeast west. So if I want to move south, I'm going to give it a S, and if I want to move east, I'm going to give it an E, and we're going to do west. We give it a W. Okay, so now I can build up a set of commands that do move north, south, east, west, charge torpedo. I don't have a thing for firing a torpedo, so we need to add that as well. But I could do this all by itself and test it. So let's try that. So we'll go up to my strategy. That's the place I think I want to put this. This will do. That's not bad. I can actually shorten things. All right. Prefer open space strategy. Here's where I'm going to do my moves. I want a new command builder each time through the loop. So let's create a public, doesn't even have to be public. Let's do, yeah, sure, public static command builder. It's going to start null. While true, I'm going to set that to a new command builder each time. Now it's there at the top, so I should be able to get to it from here. And instead of returning movies torpedo, I can say builder dot move east. Charge torpedo. And then I still need to return, so let's return. This thing was a string now. For open space strategy, I guess this just becomes void. Alright. Move south, charge torpedo, return. Move west, return, and move north. Alright, now the thing that calls this is still expecting to get back a string, so I don't need that. Alright, that's all good, and these things, I can probably clean this up further. Dr. Blue, is it possible to copy paste to from an IDE? It's not easy to do that. I mean, yes, it's possible, but I don't want to do copy paste. There is a Chrome extension that you can use that will let this file be a file from your computer, and it'll sync them. Well, it'll give you a button to click to sync them. I haven't messed with that, but because you'd still have to have everything in one file, either as you code it or have some utility that takes all your different classes and puts them into one file. But that would be an option. Another thing I could do is I could write some tests for this and then just do the assertions, basically just run through all the tests when the program starts. And that would work too, right? It's like public static void main, I could have a thing that's like run tests, and that would be fine. But I don't think I can pull in like XUnit or anything, right? So I'd have to write all my assertions myself. It wouldn't be, with a proper testing framework. Okay, so here's my command plus equal open space strategy. I don't want that to be that anymore. I want it to be more like prefer open space strategy, like that, because now it's void. But then I need to take that command, and in the short term, that command thing's going away because I'm going to use the builder. But for now, I need to say command plus equal builder.build. Right, that gets me to the same logic that I had before, I think. Let's find out. Hey, my code works. Look at that. I'm pink, facing Nemo again, and he's using silence all the time, which is going to be really hard for me to track him down. So if I want to beat him, I've got to figure out how to deal with silence. And let's see if we pause this for a second. My idea on where he started from, he actually started from 7.7, and I'm thinking he might have started anywhere up here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he actually started right there. So I do think I know that he started maybe in one of those spots. But I've only narrowed it down to 16 locations by now. So we zip along a little bit here. I'm going to have 10 still. And he's being really tight, staying right in this area. As I'm going all over the map. But he knows right where I am. Oh, I got a shot off. That's cool. So I knew his locations were within 3. I was pretty sure he was at sector 7-6, and he was. So that's cool. I mean, I still lost, but I did get a hit in. That's nice. I think that's because his silence, he never moved very far. Right, all his silence commands, it doesn't tell me how far he moved, but I can see it on the map. Right, he's still only going like one spot when he silences. He's not zipping far away. I think it would be a good idea to get the heck out of Dodge when you do silence. But the important thing here is that my builder works. Right, and since my builder works, that means I can finish fleshing it out. Like one of them is surfacing is another thing my builder should allow me to do. So let's do a surface builder command. Command builder dot surface moves dot add surface. Now these hard-coded strings for all this stuff will only live here at this point, is the idea. So there's my moves. We'll put surface down here. Charging is there. Alright. So when I was going to surface, where was that? Right there, that's that one. This one. Command builder, if my command is empty, then, well, I can't really do it with builder.build at that point. What should builder.build do if it's empty there? Well, this almost needs to stay the same as is. I don't want to say that if I call build and I haven't called move, that I will call surface, because that's not necessarily what I want to do. So I think I'll leave that alone. Let's see if there's somewhere else I call surface. Orders. That's their surface. That's fine. Alright. Well, okay. I'm not going to use this for now, but we'll leave it in there just for completeness sake. What else do? I fire torpedoes. Alright, so there's charge torpedo and there's fire torpedo. Now this one will have to take arguments. Like that. And at this point it's just moves.add torpedo x, y with a $sign. Okay. Now I might want to fire the torpedo before, or I might want to fire it after. And so that's where this is going to start to be nice with the builders, that I won't have to do all that logic of figuring it out in 2 places now. So up here, that's after moving, blah blah blah, calculate the range, do the stuff, do this command plus equal that. At this point, that can just be a builder call. Except that I already did the builder.build earlier up here. So I only want to call builder.build once. I think maybe this strategy just needs to return a bool for success, and if it's not successful, then I will surface. Maybe that's better. Then I could still use my builder. So the prefer open space strategy is here. Am I using this command still? That's passed in? I don't think I even am. Doesn't need... Yeah, it's not there. Okay, so the command doesn't need to be in this one at all, so we'll yank that out. Which means we can make this a bool. Prefer, okay. Most open cells not null. Do all these things and return true. Otherwise, return false. Alright, so now that strategy is a little bit different. And where we use it here, instead of having to do that, we no longer need to pass that. And if not, prefer open whatever strategy, then builder.surface. That's much better. Okay, so now I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I do need to do a clear path though when I surface. Like that. Okay. But now I haven't called build yet, which means I can continue to use that builder. So when I want to fire this torpedo here, now I can instead say builder.fire torpedo at cell.x, cell.y, and I'm dealing with this at the level of a builder and not at the level of string concatenation, which is a lot nicer. Okay. Then console write line command. This should be string. I don't think I need the command until this point. So string command equals builder.build. Now write it. Now check and see if I fired a torpedo. It's probably a better way to do this than what I have here, but we'll get to that. Okay. So this is going to be a compile error because I'm defining command in multiple places. And this builder.fire torpedo, I'm going to want to duplicate up here at that spot and get rid of this command. That's about it. So this string command there I think can go away. We'll define it at the end. So let's see what that does for us. Probably have some errors. Yeah. Return this. Looks like we're good. Alright, so now if we look at my commands, you can see my command here at the bottom. Move east torpedo, torpedo 84. Oh, that's his command, not mine. Move north, torpedo, blah 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 blah, okay. And I know right where he is, and I shoot him. Nice. But he still kills me. Alright, so my builder's starting to work. And I like that a little better. That's a higher level way to deal with these commands. So don't care about that, don't care about that, or that. My range still needs to take into account islands. Figure that out. take this and add it to clear path, because it's a little smarter. It shrinks that one up a little bit. Let's make sure I didn't make any stupid mistake there. Alright, that works. You can now use mines. There won't be any additional rules. Alright. Uh-oh. I got myself stuck up there, didn't I? How did that happen? Why would I go... Why did I turn right there? I don't like that at all. Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. Alright. Captain Nemo doesn't seem to use silence. He uses... Zoom, boom. How many times am I going to make that dumb mistake? Bam, I kill myself. I'm back. Bam, I kill myself. Let's do it again. Bam, I kill myself. I don't think he ever even hit me. I'm just up there killing myself. Boom. Right. And he's just chilling over there shooting empty water. Okay. So my algorithm's not still perfect by any stretch. His algorithm's definitely better. He's just doing this solid. He never surfaced once. So what is his algorithm? If we look at it, if we start from the beginning and we think about maybe mimicking his algorithm. He goes east until he hits something, and then he continues on east. He's basically hugging the wall. Now here he decides to grab that last spot there. Now a friend of mine that's doing this, his algorithm he said he used is basically to try and find a spot that's closest to a path he's already done, like a hug the edge type of algorithm. And that's kind of what this guy's doing, right? He's avoiding a wide open space, and instead he's just hugging this edge that he's already touched, and then repeating that left, right, left, right, left, right, filling in. And then he gets here, and why does he turn? Is it because he knows where I am, or what? Like, what makes him decide that he'd rather come west than north at this point? I'm not sure. Maybe it was a toss-up. This one's only got one neighbor, though. This one's got two neighbors. This is the spot he should have gone to. So something changed his mind here. I'm not sure why. Now here I was happy with my algorithm, but it's not working well on this map at all. Let's see. I like this. That's going to make my life easier when I'm doing commands. I feel like this is the spot where I made the mistake. Alright, so this spot, that's my escape, but it only has one exit point. This spot, it's a dead end, but it's got two exit points. So I decided I'd prefer this one to this one. If I knew that the entire area of this region was only 3 cells, and the area of this whole region was most of the map, I maybe would have made a better choice. So do I try and calculate how much of the map I can get to from either spot and always go toward open water? Do I at least check a certain distance? How far in the future do I have to look? The trick with this is I need a separate copy of the map for each rabbit hole I go down when I start evaluating possible moves. Because for me to evaluate the map as if I had gone to this space, I would have to update the path to say that I'd gone to that space. And then not update the path, of the master map, because I haven't actually made that choice yet. So I need like a copy. And if I do start using silence, the other challenge there is I'm gonna have to figure out like how to go more than one space in a direction, right? Like I could have decided to use silence from here and just gone 1, 2, 3, 4. I could have been all the way down here in open water again, updating my path along the way, presumably. Alright, let's keep looking at anywhere else I need to update that builder code. Let's clean up some more comments, make this code a little nicer to work with. So definitely can use some refactoring love. This says shoot before moving, but it's actually shoot after moving, so that's confusing. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Get rid of that. Alright, the code's cleaned up. Relatively. I mean, it's still got a bit of mess to it. But all the comments are out of there. Alright, let's see what happens on this fight. This different map. He's shooting. It's not hitting anything. He gets me there. At this point, I think he could be anywhere at 15 starting locations. His tight algorithm makes it tougher for me to locate him too, which correspondingly means that my algorithm that's not very tight is probably making it easy for people to find me, since I'm not using silence. So he hits me, and I'm almost dead. And then I'm gonna come in range and he finishes me off. Alright, so I definitely don't like this algorithm. I'm trying to think. Anybody have any ideas? How would I compose an algorithm? Let's look at what Orange is doing. How do I compose an algorithm that says try and stick to the edge? Try and pick the spot that's closest to the edge. Alright, it almost seems like it's the opposite of what I'm trying to do. Right? It's find the one that has the fewest neighbors. Right? If I have a choice to go here, it's got 2 open spots. Or here, it's only got 1 open spot. Let's go there. Right? So he's doing essentially the opposite of my algorithm. But what prevents that then from just running down into a dead end? Is it because it's not that he's only checking his path? I mean, he also does it by islands. So if I were here and I just started moving and then, I don't know, what would keep me from going into here? Well, it's an easy change to make to say prefer sticking to the edges strategy. Just keep this name the same, but we're going to change our order. Say order by allowed moves. Dot where there are any, right? So alright, so give me anything that's got at least one allowed move, but we're going to order them from the smallest ones. So let's replay that. Let's see if my moves look similar to his moves this time. And of course I'm going to immediately go into the dead end and die. Why did I die there? I could have at least gone one more left. Alright, so the trick remains, how do I avoid the dead ends? So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to turn right, I'm just going to kill myself again. Yep. And I don't even go into the last one. Because I said it has to be greater than 0, maybe? That must be why. Alright, so aside from dead end detection, speed this up, back and forth, go kill myself again, and then let him shoot me. Alright. This is not working well. I mean, it's doing what it should do, but I need to detect this spot right there. I need to not go in there. So, how do I detect that? This cell has only one exit, only one allowed move out of it once I enter it. And then this one has 0, so that's why I'm not even going there. If I get rid of this where clause and replay again, it's going to do the same thing, but now it's going to actually move into these spaces that it ignored before, I think. Boom. 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 Okay, yep, as expected. And then it comes up here, and again it moves into that space before surfacing. And then I'm just going to drive around until he comes and shoots me. Yep. Alright, so again, when I'm there, I need to not go in there. The sum of that path and all of its options from that point is pretty easy to calculate, right? Because this has but one allowed move, and it is to this spot, which has but one allowed move, which is to that spot, which has 0. So the sum of its allowed moves is like 2, and the sum of its allowed moves over here is large, right? So I should turn right. So I feel like allowed moves needs to be recursive somehow into future paths. How did I do allowed moves? That's just an int. So those are literally direct allowed moves. not a game programmer. This would be something I should know really easily how to do a check for this tree of moves if I knew the algorithms of game programmers. I feel like I need to jump to Google or a book to look that up. But essentially I need to take this tree and expand it to all its possible moves, and this tree and expand it. And I don't need to go infinite depth, right? I only need to know this one, if I follow it 2 nodes deep, it dead ends. This one, if I follow it 2 nodes deep, it's massive. And I only care about that typically when I only have 2 choices. Right? If I only have 1 choice, there's no choice. If I have 2 choices, I should pick the right one. So will it ever be the case that I'll have 3 choices and one of them's a dead end? Like if I'm here, like no, like maybe, but not commonly. So I can almost just say, if I have 2 choices, check how far one choice goes versus the other. Alright. So open space strategy was really, let's get that back to where it was. Order by descending there, like that. And just copy this and paste it here. This is going to be a prefer something else strategy. Prefer dense movement, or hugging places I've already touched, or following edges. Prefer following edges strategy. Alright, and that one required this to be just an order by ascending, and we'll modify this up here to say if not prefer following edges. Play that code, make sure I didn't break it. Anybody in the chat got any ideas for how I can search into the future from a point like this? Right, like right there I want to know not to go in here. How do I implement that in an efficient algorithm? Or some game algorithm I can use. Right. Following edges. My neighbors is this list. Add those neighbors if it's valid to move into them. So from here, my neighbors are going to be this one and this one. 5, 1, 6, 2. Alright. The most open cell is going to be ordered by allowed moves. And this one only has 1 allowed move and this one has 2. So I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to die. Why? I feel like I could do a check on neighbors for like maximum number of moves they could make out to a certain level. Like even if I just did 5 moves out or 2 moves out or something like that, I would know. I'd know enough in this case not to go down that path. Alright, the part that's stymieing me is how to make basically a copy of my existing map for every tree node that I'm going to go down. So when I'm here and I want to evaluate the world as if I had moved here, I need to have the path updated to say I've moved here, and then proceed with that and loop forward with additional moves using my strategy until I figure out how far I can go. And if I figure out that I can only go 2 more moves from this point, that's not very far compared to this one. I would then short circuit, and I would definitely pick the one to the right. So how do I do that without having to exhaustively search the whole thing? Because if I have to do total number of possible moves from this one, it's going to be 2, and from this one it's going to be large. You know, that's a big waste of compute power when I only had to check 2. So I kind of want to defer that evaluation. And I should probably wrap up here soon. It's realizing it's getting past 2 o'clock, so by a good ways now. So I'll probably finish this up in the next 10 minutes or so. Let's do another submit, just for the fun of it. You did not test your answer. Oh, fine. Test my answer. Play my code. I'd like to get this movement algorithm sorted out. So I quit going on dead ends and dying. But it's tough. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, at least I'm not going to dead end too fast. This looks like a Muppet. It's got 2 eyes and a mouth. Alright, so drive right by him, don't know where he is. He must have used silence on me. Start location 1. The enemy is at 3-5 in sector 4. No he's not. He's definitely not at 3-5, so I'm totally lost as to where you are, because he kept silencing. At least I assume that's why. So, first silence occurs right there. Before he used silence, I knew he was somewhere in a 12 start point area. He actually started at 5-7. That's going to be like right there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I knew this was one of his spots. But with his silent movement, I lost him. So I need to implement silent movement on my side as well. At the end of the day, I never touched him and I lost all my lives. Alright, so that's not good. We're going to submit. See what that does. I think I want to charge up silence sooner rather than later and then use it. Even if I'm only using it to go 1, I should just be like, hey, do I have silence available? Alright, use it. And that should help a little bit. Mostly I'm just killing myself here. He's not even the one killing me. So let's think about, when would we charge silence? Let's add that to my builder. This will be our last thing. We'll implement silence. Charge torpedo, fire torpedo, public, command builder, charge silence. Charge equals silence. Alright, I think I want to start off with that. And we'll just always do silence. If silence is not ready, let's see, what should my logic be for this? What's he doing? He's like torpedo, 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 and then silence. So he fires, charges and fires torpedo. He's got a little bit of silence charge too, though. And then he finishes charging it. So I don't know what makes him think he wants to fire those. I think early in the game I'm not going to shoot torpedoes. I don't know where they are. So early in the game I should just be like silence, silence, silence. And also, you know, make it so that I'm not detectable. And also if torpedo is ready to fire but I don't have anyone to shoot at, then I may as well charge silence. That's like a no-brainer. So let's find what to charge. If my torpedo is ready, then I may as well charge silence, right? So let's think about that. Where am I charging torpedo anyway now? I think it's in my... Yeah, I'm doing it here. I don't want to do it there. Let's pull these out of there. It's in my move strategy. It doesn't make any sense to be in my move strategy. Instead, let's figure it out after we're going to shoot. Oh, the other thing I haven't figured out here is if I move first and my torpedo wasn't ready, if I charged the torpedo, it might be ready. Fire torpedo after moving. So that's interesting. To do charge torpedo if only one more charge needed and enemy position known. So we'll add that later. For now, let's do this silence charging. So if torpedo is ready, then I don't need to charge. Well, let's see. If torpedo is not ready, shoot. Yeah, that's a good spot for this. If not torpedo ready, no, we'll do this after shooting. So this is going to set it to false if I fired there. Alright, so right about here, what to charge? If not torpedo ready, I better charge torpedo. Builder.charge torpedo. Else builder.charge silence. And this better be torpedo. Alright. Alright, now my move command could also be a silence command. Once I have enough silence, see, I need that to be globally known. So say public static silence ready. Like that. And does that make it a bool? Be good if I had a type bool. Then down here, silence ready equals silence cooldown is 0. Okay. Then here, instead of calling move east, I could do silence east instead. But I could just implement that in the builder itself. So in the move, maybe, and charging silence. Where do I want this logic? Do I put it in my strategy or do I put it in the builder? I feel like the builder should only be concerned with building up commands. So let's keep it that way and let's do silence commands. And this is move silent. Move move silent commands, move silent format string, alright, and now silence command is here, silence n some number. I don't think I can charge something if I do that, so that's fine. So this is silent n 1. And we'll say this is distance. No, I'll just hardcode it at 1. No, we won't do that. Distance. Alright. Move silent format string n 1. For now, we're only going to move silent 1 because I haven't figured out how to check if I can go farther now without running into something. Okay. So if I can move silent, then I will move silent. So in here, if I call it silent ready, silence ready. So if silence ready, builder.move silent east, else move east, right? And I have to do that every time. That's horrible. There's probably a better way to do that, but let's just do the ugly if statements for now. So there's that one, goes there, and these become south. And then this one goes here for west. And then finally north. Alright, so if silence ready, do those things. Okay. Cool. Let's play it. Past 2:30 now. I gotta wrap this up. I just want to see if I go silent. Silence is charging, 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 ready, silent. That's not good. Silent west 1. And it's game over. That's not good. Because silence not a command. It's silence. Right? Silence. Yeah, alright. Silent. That's what I get for not calling it the right thing. Let's just call this silence to be clear so I don't make that mistake again. Silence. And do that. Alright, almost done for today. Anybody got any questions, comments, feedback? It's been a less interactive than usual stream. I don't know if I'm boring you all, or you guys are busy with other things, or what. Hopefully you're all staying safe and probably on lockdown like I am. Alright, silence charging up, charging up. Did it. Alright, that's good. Still going down dead ends and getting myself killed. That's not good. But maybe we'll get better. Let's see, 637 turns. That's a long game. So we both are doing a good job of driving around. Every now and then I'm going to come back and get myself killed, but he is too. Look at this. He should have, well, alright, what did he do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He made the right choice. Where he screwed up was blocking himself out of here anyway, but he filled the entire map before he got stuck, so he's got a good algorithm for searching for good space. So he gets one hit from that, and then I come in and get hit from that. And then I screw myself here again. And then what? Why does it end? Must just be run out of time. It's got a limit of, what's the limit now? Beginning, action, surface, torpedoes, game end. Lose conditions, 300 turns. Each player has 300 turns. So we ran out of turns, basically. I don't know why this is so much higher than 600, but we each had 300 turns. And then some, it seems like. And then the game just ended, and he had more life, so he won. So at the end, yeah, he's got 4 and I've got 2. And basically we never shot each other. We just, his algorithm was better for not running out of space. Alright, let's submit this. This should at least not get me shot quite as much because I'm silencing. We'll see how that does. And that's going to be it. So thanks for joining me this afternoon. Hope you got something out of it, a little bit different than my usual code stuff. This has been fun, trying to make my bot a little bit smarter. And perhaps I'll see you next Friday. See ya.